explore. Roll the future, hear the dice roll. Gaining realms of muscles drawn. Together in this place where we belong. Doting spells, casting dreams until the dawn. Leveling up in the world you wanna own. With painted heroes shining bright. Venturing onward in the endless night. Where the brawn meets the brush. The story's told in the storm of imagination mold. With every stroke, the vengeance unfold. Peace of our soul, our soul. Where the brawn meets the brush. The story's told in the storm of imagination mold. With every stroke, the vengeance might fall. Peace of our souls, our soul.
Hello, hello, hello. How are we, people? Happy Friday. Let's move the cable out the way as we do every week. How are we? Welcome to Minis and Muscles, the place where the brawn meets the paintbrush. The brawn meets the brush, that is it. We are here every Friday for your viewing pleasure. And we talk a load of geek. We talk a load of geek, we paint a load of models, and we have a good old chin wagging time. So how are we? I hope you are all well. Let's just close some of these notifications that have popped up on my screen. See, Elias is in the chat already. Hey, Elias. Hope you're good, buddy. So, tonight on the stream, what have we got? I'm just going to swap around my screen here. I've got a little second screen that I'm just going to move some bits around. There we go. I can see it feels better because it was on the wrong side, you see. So it's feeling a bit weird. But I hope you're well. Happy Friday. How was your week, first of all? Have you had a good geeky week? Yes or no? Me, I've had a good week. It's been a pretty good one for geekdom. I played Warhammer in the week. I took the Ultramarines out for a test run last weekend. Did lose, but only just. But it was the first time I've played with that army at 2,000 points. So that was quite interesting just to see the dynamics of the army and how it was playing. And it was nice to have a lot of models on the table. So that was really cool. I finally finished painting. So talking of painting, I finally finished painting all the detail in here, the main detail for my Repulsor Executioner tank. So those pictures are over in the Discord. So jump in the Discord if you want to watch those, or have a look at those. Sorry, you can't watch a picture, but you can have a look at it. So yeah, what else did I do geeky? Oh, my fight was that this week? Or was that last week? I can't remember if it was this week or last week, but my final card came for my Pokemon Stellar Crown set, so that is now a master set completed. So I got the last promo card that I was looking for. Some guy was selling one on Vinted for like 20 quid, and then one popped up for £2. I was like, bye. So I got that one. That was really good. So finished that off. And what else? Is there anything else geeky that's happened? Ooh. Yes, I have started to pull together. I bought a new codex for Warhammer, so a new army. I'm not going to say what it is, but I have got a few models on the go, so they are being sort of done and built as we speak. So they're being done. What else? I'm building a... what am I building? I'm building a Predator Annihilator tank for my Ultramarine army. That's being built. Crikey, there's quite a few bits actually going on. So yeah, lots of geekdom in my world. Oh, I went to the retro fair, didn't I? Damn it, I went to the retro gaming fair near me. Wasn't very good. Got to admit, paid I think it was about £8 to get in. The hall was half full, like segregated in comparison to the Pokemon fair that was in the same hall. So it was only half the hall, and only half of that hall had stalls, if that makes sense. So it wasn't all that good. I did buy, there was a couple of games there from my youth for the NES that I wanted to buy. What did I buy? I bought Snake, Rattle and Roll in a really good box as well. So, and I only paid 20 quid, which I was happy about. So that was a pretty good buy. So yeah, that was my week. Lots of geekery going on. How was yours? Drop it in the chat. Let me know how your week has been. It would be lovely to hear from you. So the viewers that are on, I can see there's a few of you right now. Drop it in the chat. Tell me how your week has been. Tell me if you've done any geekdom. And I'll run through what we've got this week. So, the agenda for this week, we've got tools of the trade, we've got building muscles with food, and we've got rough bit removal. So let's go into a bit of what those are. Oh, Butterfly Horse, hi, good day today. Oh, you had a good day today. Fantastic. What did you do today, Butterfly Horse? Hope it was a lovely day, whatever it was. Was there any geekdom involved? So this week on the show, as I said, we've got 3 different topics. Our general chat for today is going to be tools of the trade. So we're going to talk about brushes and clippers and paints and God knows what. So that is our general chat today. So if you have any queries around or thoughts around paints or brushes or glues or whatever, stick it in the chat and we will have a good old chinwag about that. So that's going to be our general chat running throughout the whole of the stream whilst we paint models. We've then got our muscle moment, which is called building muscles with food. Now this is primarily about just a little bit about food education and diet, really. Butterfly Horse is saying taking pictures of wildlife. Hey, that's pretty cool. And photography is geeky, so that's still geekdom. Well done. I'm glad you had a good time taking pictures of wildlife. Yeah, so building muscles with food section for our muscle moment. That's going to be just a little bit about diet. And then we've got rough bit removal for our hobby horror moment. We didn't manage to do that last week, so we're going to do that this week. Yeah, and that's our show. 3 parts to it. That's Minis-N-Muscles, the place where the brawn meets the brush. However, we are going to paint some minis whilst we talk geekdom. And in fact, I'll do it this way round first. This is our guy that we're going to be painting this week, or finishing off. So this is our gentleman that we started painting last week. This is the Redemptor Dreadnought. So there he is in all his glory. There's lots of things on here to paint. So and there's some transfers to put onto his arms and his front and things like that. There's even underneath here to paint as well. So we're going to paint this sort of little sarcophagus. So we've got all of that to do today. So I'm looking forward to doing him because he's going to look really cool actually once he's done. And that is what we're going to do. So hopefully if you're painting along with me, you've got some fresh clean water and you've got, as I open mine, your wet palette ready. Mine is ready. Nice new sheet in there. Yeah, it's nice and damp. That's good. I've got my water and I think I'm set to go. So let's change over our camera. Let's go to top-down view. There we go. So here is our little dreadnought. In fact, I wonder if I could actually change this rotation of this. So if I unlock this, I should be able to rotate this somehow. Rotate 90 degrees. Oh, I think I've lost it. No. Oh no, what have I done now? Rotate 90 degrees. Oh no. What's Elias saying? He's trying to build a Saturnine Dreadnought. Oh, they're cool though, dude. So they are really good. Apologies, I've just screwed up the video here. Oops. Let's see if we can get this back. Oh no. Oh, Steve, why do you do this? Oh, what the heck? I don't even know where it's gone. I don't know where my video's gone, where my picture's gone. Where the hell did that go? That was there a second ago. My lord, what is going on here? We're gonna have this. We had a problem last week where the video capture device failed on us. Oh, has it failed again? I think it's failed again, yeah. Oh no. Oh no, that's not good. Stupid thing. So I thought it might have been user error last week and I didn't test it, and it looks like we've got the same problem again. Oh, pants. Hopefully. Is this working? No. Come on. It's on, but it's not showing anything. What the hell is going on here? Right, I might have to remove this device completely. Sorry guys, bear with me. Technical glitches, you know how it is. So let's take a video capture device. Let's just add this in here. Let's go here. And it's still not working. Great. Fudging fudge. So Elias, how's your building your dreadnought going? Hopefully it's going okay. Hopefully it's going better than my attempts at having a video stream on here. This is rubbish. Alright, bear with me guys whilst I try and sort this shambles that's happening right now. I don't know why it's not picking this camera up. Right, it's definitely a fault. Okay, give up. Hey. This is just absolutely infuriating. But never mind. We've only got one person on, so it's not like the world is watching, so that's good. Let's try. Let's try this. Is this going to work? Yes. So there's our little dreadnought. There's our buddy. Let's just try and squidge this in here. What dramas we've got, eh guys? What dramas? So I want to, if I lie that down like that, then I want to rotate this. Jeez. What a nightmare. Sorry, peeps. This is useless. Oh, I'm so cross right now. There we go. Oh. It's going as good as the vid right now. Oh, mate. I'm sorry your model building is not going to plan. Yeah, but persevere. Look, we're persevering and we've got to this point. So, hey, what we're going to do is we're going to start on this sarcophagus on the inside here. Let's get this painted. Some nice colours. Let's cheer ourselves up with some colours, shall we? Come on, Elias. You can do it. Let's cheer ourselves up. We're going to go with this colour here. We're going to go with Sarcorax Bronze. I think it looks like a nice sort of sarcophagus-y kind of colour. That's what we're going to go with today. It's good, my guy, you got this. Thanks, Elias. You are my biggest cheerleader and I appreciate it. Righty. Okay, so let's apply a little bit of colour to this sarcophagus. So we don't want it to be just all black, do we? That's just boring. There we go. What we don't want is lots of brush lines though, so we want it to try and make it look like it's real of some sort. So you might want to, I mean, some people say don't water down your metallics at all, but if they're too thick you still get these really terrible brush lines, so you don't want your metallic too thick. So I do put mine in my wet palette. I think it's okay. It's not disastrous. So, we were talking about our general chat for today is about, you know, just talking about your basic kit that you use for painting, for building models. Well, I thought we'd just have a chat about that today. Kind of motivated on my side because I've got a new set of brushes sat right next to me. I was doing some painting the other day and the bristles on this brush were really doing my head in. After a while, if you don't look after your brushes very well, and I obviously haven't looked after my brushes very well, the bristles on this brush were just knackered and old, and they were sort of different lengths, so when you were trying to do really fine detailed work, you couldn't do detailed work because the bristles were sort of split and broken and all over the shop, so you couldn't get the paintbrush to a fine point. And I was at the time doing an eye, or doing eyes on a Space Marine that sat in the tank. I don't know how I did it. I managed to get a very good eye in the end, but as soon as I finished that, I snapped the paintbrush in two and threw it in the bin. So I do have some new paintbrushes. Not that I'm using a new paintbrush, because this is kind of large area stuff, which is, you know, fairly easy to do. So I do have new paintbrushes, which is really cool. And they're meant to be pretty good, so I might break them out in this episode. We'll see how we go, and that kind of inspired me to just chat around. You know, what do you guys use as your go-to tools? You know, and just a chat about all the things that I use. Really, that was it. As simple as that. And again, apologies that the camera is quite zoomed in. I don't have a choice right now because I'm operating off my iPhone. Because my main camera has decided to throw its hand in. Well, it's not the camera actually. It's the video capture device. So that's all gone wrong. And it went wrong last week. And I just thought I'd done something wrong, and it was my fault. So I didn't bother testing it. And lo and behold, it's not my fault. I tried it again, reloading it just now, and it's still buggered up. So, huzzah, it's not me, but that does cause another issue that it's something that I need to sort. Oh no, I've got no tissue paper. Oh bugger! See if I've got some in here. Otherwise I'm going to have to stand up and go grab some. Oh, darn it. I've got no sodding tissue paper. Bear with me, people. I'm just going to have to jump behind the screen. I am still here. Trust me, I haven't left you. Don't worry. I'm back. I'm back. Here I am. I haven't left. Oh, I should actually probably drop this back as well. Move down. There we go. Lock that in place. Where is it? There we go. Lock that in place. Haha. Alright, there we go. You should be able to see me now. It should all look half decent. Yes, if you've just joined, today on Minis and Muscles, the place where the brawn meets the brush, we are talking about just what kit do we use when we're painting. So let's start with hobby knives and clippers and things like that. And the reason why I thought we could talk about that is because I've got some new paintbrushes right here, and I was pretty excited with these new paintbrushes. If I just change the camera quickly, I've got these new paintbrushes in here, and I've had them for a little while, and they're pretty sweet. So look at these bad boys. Look at the lovely wood handles on them. Ooh, look at all them. So I'm excited to give these a go today. It should be pretty sweet, pretty good. I've lost 2 of the ends, 3 of the ends. Just shake them out and put those back on. Otherwise we're going to have damaged brushes before we even get to use them. So I don't know if these are any good or not, but they're supposedly pretty good. There's not any really fine ones, but that should be okay because quite a few of them are very rounded on the ends, so it should be nice to paint with. I've been sort of debating whether to start and using them for ages, but I just haven't yet. Right, here we go. Back to the model, however, we're doing this sarcophagus. We've got a nice kind of bronze around the edge. We'll put some silver in here as well. Got some tubes and pipes on the left-hand side and the right-hand side, so we should probably fill those in. So we need some silver probably, and we need some other bits as well. So Tom Ayres is in the group. He's saying, I'm doing leg day at the gym whilst watching this. Yes, Tom! Nice effort. What exercises are you doing on leg day? Leg day is always a bitch. I always leave the gym feeling like death after leg day. It literally kills me. So Tom, if you're rattling along in the gym listening to the Minis and Muscles stream, which is not a bad thing to do for gym motivation, good luck to you, sir, on leg day. I hope it goes well, but you should be going to your eyes fall out. It's the largest muscle group that you're operating on, so you should really be going hammer and tong, and hopefully you are. I'm not sure if I've seen your name in the chat before, Tom, so if you're new to the chat, then please do say hello. I'm just trying to remember if I've talked to or spoke to you before. My memory is shocking, so if you have spoke to me before, or I have spoke to you, I do apologise, sir. It's just that my memory is terrible, and especially on a Friday after a long week, my memory is even worse. So do not take offence. It is just me. Yeah, so the first part of what we were talking about for this evening being, you know, what do you use to paint and craft and do your hobby? I thought we'd start on knives, because everyone likes a knife. And what do you need? Knife or clippers or both? Is the question. So drop it in the chat. Tell me what you guys use. Do you use knives? Do you use clippers? How do you model? And I don't mean on the catwalk. I mean, how do you model? And how do you make your models? Do you use clippers? Do you use a knife? So me personally, I use both. I use my clippers to cut off of the sprue, and generally I use a knife to then take all the edges off of the item when you take it off the sprue, if it requires it, or I use the knife to get any burrs off of the edge or moulding lines, things like that. However, recently I broke my knife and I'm resorting to the good old razor blade. So that's all I've got at the moment. I need to restock on a knife, a suitable knife. So if anyone's got a suitable knife recommendation, that they think is a good option for modelling, let me know. I would love to know, because I will go and get one, because I need to, blatantly. But the reason why I have both is because clippers are super universal, really easy to cut things off of sprues, and you can actually use it to take the burr off of things as well. So if you're not particularly skilled with a knife, you can use the clippers and you can use the sort of blade edge to cut back on all the burrs. So it can be done, and I did that for many years, just because I didn't bother buying a knife, really, is the reality. But you can get a nicer cut and a finer cut with a knife. So that would be my recommendation. What are we saying? Squat, my guys. Squat till I die. Ah, cool. Nice, Tom. Well, I'm glad you are squatting till you die. And you're new to the stream. Nice. Glad to have you on board, sir. It's lovely to have you. And I'm also glad that you're squatting till you die. Because there's no other way. Squats is one of the best movements for legs anyway. I did read somewhere, I can't remember where I read it. Maybe one of you may know. I read that squats grows the entire body because it promotes growth everywhere. Now, I don't know how true that is, but I can't remember where I read it. I think I was reading some like Arnold Schwarzenegger type thing. Maybe it was in one of his memoirs or something. But yeah, squats are good. Squats are good. You can get massive with squats. There we go. Just doing the edges there. I do need some different colours. I need some like bright, vibrant colours for these pipes, don't I? That's what I need. Elias is saying both. So Elias, how are you doing on your dreadnought now? Has it come along a bit? Have you overcome that fear that you're not doing what you feel you should be doing? How's that going? Oh, we've got 8 viewers in the moment, so jump in the chat, guys. Say hello. Our general chat conversation. And by the way, we can talk about anything geek. So it could be Pokemon, it could be Warhammer, D&D, cosplay, whatever you want. I'll talk about it whilst I paint miniatures. But if you're in the chat, say hello. If you're a first-time watcher, say hello. Apologies for my poor camera if you are a first-time watcher. I've had a camera failure today. Well, an actual card reader, a video card reader error. And that's thrown my normal camera out. So I'm using the backup cam, which is my mobile phone, rested on top of my light. So yeah, that's what we're currently working with. But it's doing okay, right? It's not terrible. It could be worse. So I'm just going to try and do some bright colours for these ingoing cables and bits and bobs into here. So I think bright works well on these. So what else do we need in our toolbox for painting miniatures, building miniatures, and making miniature dreams come true? So we spoke about clippers and knives. So I do think you need both. You could get away with just using one, but I think clippers are just easier and quicker in a lot of instances. And then for fine detail, the knife is just king. So if anyone does have a good recommendation for a new knife, do let me know, because my current knife is just a blade. I'm using just the blade because I broke my knife. So yeah, any recommendations, chuck it in the chat. I would love to hear. I might take this arm off because it's kind of annoying me where it's swinging around everywhere. For those that don't know, I bought this Dreadnought second hand and he was in a terrible state, bless him. And I'm trying to restore him to a half decent tabletop standard so he can get back out there to the action and he can feel proud about walking on the battlefield once again. So that's what we're trying to do here. It's just bring him back in, give him a little bit of love, give him a little bit of colour, and bringing him back to life. Oh, sorry, I'm just out of camera focus there. Again, I'm kind of sat at a weird angle because I'm having to look underneath this light to see the model to paint it. So Elias is saying it's working out. What, you're working out whilst you're doing the model? I'm just joking, Elias. You're not. I don't imagine you're doing squats whilst you're painting. But I'm glad the model is working out. Now, don't worry about it. It's just paint. If you make a mistake, it's just paint, bro. That's all it is. Start afresh. It's not a problem. I make loads of mistakes when I'm painting. Trust me. So do not fret. I guarantee the model is better than what you think it is. Or looks better than what you think. And you will be able to shine with your new model. Trust me. I shouldn't actually be painting side by side because they're not the same pipe actually. But never mind. We'll go ahead because we've started this way. So sorry, just gone out of camera. Apologies. Yeah, so I have no zoom functionality on this camera. So it makes it very difficult for me to get the right picture for you and the right angle for me so I can actually paint the model and see what I'm meant to be painting. So it's kind of annoying. But don't worry, we shall persevere. So we're going so far. We've got yellow, orange, red. And I might stick like a sort of really vibrant blue in there as well as a cable. Let's do these top ones as red. So in your toolboxes, in your modelling toolboxes, what do you guys have? What do you use? What do you have? What is your go-to piece? That's what I want to know. Drop it in the chat. Engage, engage. Oh, just gone over a little yellow pipe there. Never mind. We'll cover that off in a sec. Is there a favourite tool you have? Is there a favourite brand perhaps that you have when you're working with your geekery hobbies of painting? I don't think personally I've got a favourite brand, but I do like to try a lot of things. Although Green Stuff World is becoming a favourite of mine. So I do like them. I don't know if anyone else on the stream that's watching. There's a fair few of you watching at the moment. I don't know if any of you have used Green Stuff World before. But Green Stuff World is very good. It's pretty competitive on pricing. Only drama is if you're in the UK or US, it has to be shipped from Europe, so not so good. But it's still a pretty cool little setup. They've got some wonderful paints. They've got some wonderful mixers, paint mixers that is. They've got some awesome. They've got some awesome backpacks for carrying your models. So they've got loads of stuff from Green Stuff World. So if you haven't been there, go and have a look at Green Stuff World. They've got some really cool stuff on their site. I'm not affiliated with them, by the way. I don't get paid for saying that. I am literally just saying it because I like the shop. That is it. I don't get paid by anybody to do this. I do it for free because I just love talking geek. So what else have we got on? We were talking about hobby knives and clippers or cutters, however you want to sort of describe them. Pliers, perhaps you want to call them. Yeah, they're the two sort of main things for getting your model out and ready. But there are other things that we will need as well on our hobbying journey. What are those things? I hear you cry. Well, I can't hear anything actually because you guys haven't got a microphone. And I don't have earphones to listen, so apologies if you are crying at me going, Steve, what the hell are you talking about, you absolute lunatic? But fear naught. Get it? Fear naught, as in dreadnought? No. Right, I'll shut up. Dad jokes, peeps, dad jokes, get used to them. Righty, we want a blue. I want a bright blue. Let's go for something like this bright blue. So this is Temple Guard blue, so let's try that. Mix it up a little bit, give it a good shake as well, and then stick some in the wet palette. We don't need a huge amount, just a little. Let's get this one in here. Again, apologies if I keep on dropping the model out of shot. It's not because I'm trying to, it's just trying to get this right angle underneath the temporary camera fix we've got here in the Minis-N-Muscles studio. It's rather frustrating, but we'll get there. So what we'll do after this on these pipe work anyway, we will run a little bit of Nuln oil over the pipes just to cover any sort of terrible traces that we've left behind, and fix any sort of bits and bobs just to make it look a little bit better. It will sit in the recesses as well to give the shape some more definition. Oh man, I've really gone over there. Let's just try and cover that back up. Okay, that's good. I might have to get some blue out as well, purely because... Ah, sorry. Knocked the camera, didn't I? What a fool. There we go. I've actually got the blue on this dreadnought, and I just want to make sure he looks a bit more tidier, because there's little bits like there I went over, and there's a little bit of orange that should be blue, and a bit of blue there that should be dark blue. There we go. Okay, now for doing some of the silver at the back of this pipe work, because you've got sort of silver on the front of the pipe work, silver on the back. So let's stick some of that in. It's going to be a little bit tricky. As we try and get this brush right into these tight little angles. Some of them are real difficult to get to, and we're going to end up going over the edge here and have to redo some of that blue, but it's worth it. Just to make sure we're getting all the white areas. Oh, sorry, it's just out of camera. I'm doing the right hand side at the moment. Let's do the left as well. Again, I've just gone over stupidly. There we are. Rounded that one. We need to do this one at the back. There we are. Go. All right, that's half decent. Got these sort of dials up here as well. We should probably do these. So let's just get these on a bit of silver. There we are. Yeah, so we've got our clippers. What did I put next on my thingy? Files. So, and line removers as well. Now, line removers for me, do the same purpose as what a knife does. So line removers take away the burr. So any sort of, I don't know, join line or something, and you want to take a little bit out. Look at that join line there, it's terrible. It should really fill that. But see this little bit here? This is where the model, where I didn't own the model first, and you've got the burr where they've cut it off the sprue, and they didn't file it down. I didn't bother because I can't be bothered. I just wanted him on the table and looking half decent. But you can get your knife on there, or you can get an actual line remover. So I think Games Workshop sell them. They're fairly pricey actually for what they are, but they're half decent. Actually, I want that silver. But I never really got on with them when I used them. But you can get those, and of course you can get files. Now files are a completely different kettle of fish. Files, I really like files. I've got a couple of sets, but as per last week, you saw me using just sandpaper. Sandpaper is just as good for model making as files are, and sometimes more versatile. So don't think that you have to have a file. Sandpaper will do, and it will do just as good a job, especially when you're trying to get into a really difficult area. Half the time a bloody file will never get in there anyway, whereas if you get a tiny bit of sandpaper like this and really fine grit sandpaper, and you can get right into the little itty bitty tiny little areas, which is perfect. That's exactly what you want. So on that light on the right hand side there, I've painted silver, and I've painted this light silver as well, and that's going to have a red glow to it. This one's going to have a yellow glow. All I'm going to do over the top of the silver is put some contrast, and I'm going to try on the light on the right to not get it on that little sort of wire mesh grid. So I'm going to try and sort of dot it either side of that little grid, so it looks like the shine is coming out of the light, but you can still see the mesh. There you go, like that. And then the one on the right, that's just going to be a center dot of contrast. This one I'll use Bile Red. There you go. And I'll do the center dot of that light just red. Doesn't have to be anything flash with these. There we go. There we are. There's our two lights. Nice. We've got the centre of this sarcophagus now. So we did the outside in this kind of bronzy kind of colour, which may very well need a second coat actually, to be fair. There we go. Second coat that side. Yeah, this side's a bit loose as well, so. There we go. Get a bit more on here. There we are. But the inside of this sarcophagus, what should I do it? Should I do it the same colour and then just put colours over the top? So for this part here on the inside it's black currently. Should that just go colours? Sorry, bronze? Yeah, I think so. Maybe it should be. Right, let's try that, see how it looks. Let's go bronze in the centre. And then let's just pick out some details to paint different colours. Oh, I'm looking at it now already and I'm thinking, no, it shouldn't be like this. What do you think? Do you think it looks right? Yeah, I'm not too sure. There we go. Don't worry if you go, when you're doing this sort of thing, and you go over the edges of like the little banners and stuff, because you're going to paint over them anyway, so don't worry too much. Alright, that's that. Oh, where's all the viewers gone? They were all here a second ago, now the loads have disappeared. Well, hopefully there's a few still sat here watching. Right, what do we got? We've got the little part in the centre, which I'm going to do Morghast bone. So this sort of off-white shade, like that. We'll use this for the two little banners, as such, that run across the here. There we go. What else we got in our toolkit? I keep on starting that conversation and forgetting what I'm saying. So we just spoke about files and mould line removers. Said mould line removers not too keen on. Files I think are really good, but sandpaper is just as good in terms of options. The one thing I do like is brushes, and I mentioned earlier the reason why I thought I'd talk about this today on today's stream is just because I've got some new brushes that I should probably use on the new stream, actually, on this stream, to show you guys. And I thought, oh, let's just talk about loads of sort of stuff that we use day to day in our hobbying world. There we go. Not sure I'm convinced on that. Not sure I'm convinced on that kind of colour, bronzy colour, whatever we want to call it. We'll see. I do want some brighter gold though, so let's get that out. Good old Retributor gold. So we go for this one. Oh, that one. Boop, boop, boop. Yeah, so brushes. Now, I think you probably, although I just showed earlier, like, that's brushes set, I would never buy that many brushes and all those different sizes in a million years. When I paint, I probably only use 2 sizes, and don't ask me what size they are because I have no clue. Although actually I could just look on this brush. This one's a medium layer brush. That's one I use, and the other one is a I can't see the other one because I threw it in the bin, but the other one I think is a small layer brush. But I only ever use 2 sizes really. I don't go and use lots of different brushes. Maybe I should, but I don't really feel that I have the need to, because with brushes, as long as they're good quality and you have a point, you don't really need, like when I first started painting I thought that I needed to have a really tiny brush, and actually the really tiny brush made it really hard to paint. And you just don't, oh no, bit too wet. You just don't need a really tiny paintbrush, that's the thing. It's just not a necessity or a requirement. It's nice to have as part of your set if you can, you know, afford to have one, but it's not necessary. You don't need it. The sort of middle sizes I've found are better. We've got that laurel there as well. I'm going to paint that laurel green, I think. I'm going to go for this green. This warpstone glow. It looks like a nice bright green. There we are. Looks very nice. There we go. Doing the inner edges. There we go. Lovely jubbly. Looks alright, right? Looks okay. Could be better, could be worse. Got this little skull and crossbones in the middle. Just trying to think what colour I want that. I might do it this sort of off colour. Morghast bone. And then this, oh dear, this paint's not very good. And then pretty much this section is fairly done. Yes, we could spend hours painting this one section, right? But let's be honest. First of all, I'm not a golden demon painter. Second of all, I don't wish to be. Third, I want to play the darn game. So actually, it's for me, it's the incentive to paint these to a good standard, nothing too technical, so they look nice, and get them on the table so you can bloody well play the game. Because that's what it's about. It's getting with your friends and geeking out over a game. You know, that's the cool bit. Or the geeky bit, however you want to look at it. But that's the bit that I think a lot of other people enjoy. Don't get me wrong, the painting's cool and all the rest of it, the building's okay and you know all the rest of that, but actually why do people do it? Because they want to geek out with their buddies, right? Not because they want to spend their whole life painting, but some people do. Some people would much prefer to paint than to play. So, you know, I can't say that one size fits all, because it doesn't. Alrighty, might need to tidy that up with... It's weird because like the bone part of this skull and crossbones like is depressed, as in not sad and anxious, but it's depressed into the frame so it doesn't stick out. So it's kind of weird. We'll go with it. We'll go with it. We'll roll with it. It's okay. Trying to tidy up a little bit of this, just so it looks half decent. There we go. Looking half decent, right? Not amazing. Not a piece of perfection by any stretch of the imagination, but half decent enough to get by. So we've got 2 shades that I'll use here, Nuln Oil and Earthshade. I'll use Earthshade on the skull and across the banners perhaps, and then I will use the Nuln Oil around the cables. There we go, just get a bit more on here. If we can slap this on, it's fairly harmless. As long as you don't go too crazy with this sort of thing on everything. There we go. Do the skull. There we are. Let's do those 2 bits. And then let's get the Nuln Oil and go around the cables. So yeah, there's loads of different brushes though with different sizes. There's different types of... Oh damn, just an imperfection there. There's lots of types of brushes as well. So there's things like the ones that I've just bought, which are real hair brushes. So these ones are wolf skin, wolf bristles apparently. I don't know if they are or not. Hopefully PETA won't shut me down. But you can get synthetic brushes, and they're pretty cheap actually. So the wolf skin, wolf hair, or other types like that are quite expensive brushes. In comparison, that is, to the synthetic versions. Synthetic are really cool because you can get some super cheap ones and they ain't bad, and they do a perfect job for things like dry brushing or large area coverage. So they're a great tool to add to your little arsenal if you've got the ability to get hold of some. You can get them on things like places like Amazon and various different hobbycraft type shops, and you can get them pretty cheap. So I would always advise to have some synthetic brushes, but what I've found is they just don't paint as nice as a proper brush. And synthetic brushes usually look, I haven't got one here actually, but they've got, like, rather than this being this sort of colour for a bristle, they are a sort of whitey colour. Yeah, so I find that they're good, they're cheap, great for large area coverage. That looks half decent, right? That doesn't look bad for a 2-second job. So I think we will leave him as he is. Or leave that as he is. Let's have a look at this gun here. Let's have a look. This little Gatling gun needs a bit of love, doesn't it? It's a bit shoddy here and there. Because last week we were going pretty fast and we were trying to paint this guy. So we just need to correct a few elements. Like this here. But yeah, so different types of brushes, different size of brushes, and different costs. So, these brushes that I'm using, these Citadel ones, they're half decent, they're pretty good. They last a fair amount of time. I've probably had these well over a year, so I've done a lot of painting. And you could probably get them to last longer, but I'm not the best with my brush admin. So what you should be doing really is soaking these brushes, or your brushes, periodically in a brush cleaner. I don't really do that. I kind of use and abuse my brushes, unfortunately. Shouldn't do that, shouldn't admit to it, but it's true, right? We always forget to do the things we should do. It's like stretching. You should do stretching as part of your own fitness regime, but 9 times out of 10 you forget because that's just what happens. life gets in the way. There we are. Painting all these sort of little tiny hidden areas on this that weren't painted, we didn't capture last week and get the right little bits, so I'm just sort of filling in where I missed last week, really. So there's a couple of little bits, nothing major, but it's just about tidying it just so it looks half decent. Right, so we got that. What about that there? I need to redo that barrel as well. That barrel's not looking particularly good. So we'll redo that in a sec. With some silver. We need to do that skull. We need to do that ejection opening as well. Alright, let's do that then. So a bit of silver, we've already got that in our wet palette. There we go. Yeah, so do be careful on the old brush trap. You can get sort of sucked into, you know, buying the best brushes out there now. I have no doubt that they would be the best brushes, are really lovely to paint with, but it's a bit like, this is what I liken it to, is enjoying riding your push bike, but you buy the world's most expensive push bike that, you know, that belongs to a championship rider. There's not a lot of point. Now, if you've got the money to waste, great. But most people haven't got the money to waste, especially in this day and age. So, buy conservatively and buy something that would work long term for you. So, my advice would be to, you know, be fairly gentle on the buying cycle, to give yourself the opportunity to own lots of different things rather than one really good thing. So you've got a couple of things to consider just on a wrap on brushes is the type. So if you go for real bristles, whether you go for the synthetics, and then you've got brands. So these, as I said, are Citadel. The ones that I've just got, I can't remember what the brand is. Oh, Fenrir is the new one that I'm going to try out. Oh no, that's not. No, forget that. That's the model of brush. They've named every single brush. God damn it. But there is a brush that I'm about to use. So you could try a different type of brush. So Army Painter makes some good brushes. They're a good brand, and they're cheaper than Citadel actually. And I'd say they're no better, but no worse than Citadel. And they're the same. They're cheaper on price. So I'd say if you're going to go for a brand that's well known, you could go with them. I think they're pretty good. And then there are things like really expensive brands like, is it Opus Artist and things like that. Very expensive brushes, very, very pricey, you know, handmade, you know, bristles and all the rest of it. Very lovely, but very expensive. And I'm thinking about your wallet here, guys, so, you know, I'm doing you a service. Buy some cheap synthetic brushes for large area coverage for dry brush use, because they're cheaper. And then get some fairly sort of decent medium type brand names for your detail brushes. You don't need every single size in the range. Yes, I just held up that bag that I bought. It's just because they all came together. I probably will only use 2 or 3 of that entire bag collection. So, you know, you don't need every single brush type going. I certainly don't feel like you need to. I've just realised as well, I'm sort of putting extra blue back in to cover up my mistakes and my going over the lines, but it's not going to be washed, so it's going to look slightly out of place. It's going to look like a slightly different colour blue. So if you look at, for example, the blue there on the back versus the blue here, this is darker, that is lighter. So we'll have to deal with that at some point, never mind. Let's get some, I want this one a bit more white, so I'm going to use that Morghast bone on this one. There we go. Yeah, so that's brushes. They don't need to be the best in the world. You can just have average brushes. Right, there's that. We'll put some wash over that in a second. I wanted to get some other colours in here because it looks a bit bland. Doesn't look very interesting right now. You know, sometimes on a area of a model, you just need like a couple of things just to draw the eye. So like on the back there, although it's only tiny, I've put a little red button, and next to that I'll put a green one, like a bright green. It's just to try and draw the eye to something, give you something to look at, because otherwise it can just go into like this big blur of nothingness. So you've got like a red and a green light or button or whatever you want to call it on the side there. Just trying to think what else we could paint. We might paint this frame like a red, because I do like red on the guns of my Space Marines, in kind of like a historical nod to how bolters and things like that used to be painted. Everything was always red. So if I go red on this one, maybe that will be enough. So if you look at things like my tanks that I paint, I'll always paint some of the guns on them, or the casings of the guns, red. Not always, but most of the time. I like that sort of historical shout to how things were. I don't know what this will look like, whether this will look complete turd having this part red, but I thought I'd give it a go. Keep on going out of camera. Again, apologies if you've just joined us. The usual camera is not working, unfortunately. I have to buy a new video capture card. Happened last week. There was a bit of a malfunction. I thought it was a user error and my fault, but upon checking, it appears not. It appears that the camera capture device is kaput. So I shall be buying a new one this weekend. So what about pallets? Another sturdy device in your kit of model building. Now, some people, and I did, to be fair, when I started, I just painted straight out of the pot. You know, I thought nothing of it. I didn't know any better, and I thought nothing of it. So I just painted straight out of the pot, and that was absolutely fine, and I just got on with it. However, paints don't really go that smoothly when you paint directly from the pot. Some do if you get like quite a thin paint, but most these acrylic paints are half thick, and they're, you know, if you paint straight onto the model in them, you get big gloopy bits, or you get just super thick paint lines, and you can't get rid of them either. So you can use wet palettes. Now, what is a wet palette? Basically, it's a tray that you put your paints into that's got a little bit of tissue paper, perhaps, or tissue paper, or like a wax kind. No, not a wax paper, but a baking paper. Is that the right word? I can't remember what it is, but a type of paper in this tray, and it's wet and damp. The idea here is that your paints go onto this tray, onto this bit of paper that is damp, and they sort of amalgamate a little bit with the water, and they thin out to a point where you can make a nice consistency for painting. You can also, when you're doing this, add extra water into the palette if you need to. But generally speaking, if you've got a palette that has a little sponge in it, it holds quite a bit of water, and if you get that right, it generally mixes your colour to the right consistency every time. So it just means when you're painting, you don't get these really weird paint lines on your model. It looks fairly flowy and fairly consistent. You need to get a wet palette. Ah, okay, dude. Yeah, wet palettes are really good. They're super cheap as well. They're not an expensive part of hobbying. They are cheap. So Elias, I'd 100% recommend that you go get one. I think the one I paid, this one, it's only a small one. It's, you know, it's only, if you look in the main street, it's only this big. It's not very big at all. And I think it cost me around the £10 mark, so 10 of your British pounds from a local gaming store. So it wasn't a lot. I'm not sure if Games Workshop have their own wet palette. I'm sure they probably do. I just don't have one, or I've never owned one. The one I have is from Army Painter. So not very expensive, very, very easy to use. And it makes your paints spread really nicely, and you don't get these sort of really thick paint jobs. It just makes it so much better. So I would 110% advise anybody who does miniature painting to get themselves a wet palette. It does help your painting consistency and your standard of painting to get a little bit better. Especially when you're painting fine detail as well. I think. What I'm doing now is just filling in the ends of this Gatling gun barrel black, just so it doesn't look like it's blue at the end of each of the barrel holes here. And then I'll just paint over grey over the top because I have gone over the edges, but that's okay. There we go. So I've just filled those in. just so it doesn't look blue when you look down the end of the barrel, so it has some, it looks semi-real, you know. Some people, when they're painting barrels, oh bugger, when they're painting barrels and weapons, they will drill the holes of the barrels, so they look really real. You can do that. I have done in the past on some items that I, you know, paying a little bit more attention to perhaps, but it's not always necessary. But it is something that a lot of people do. When I say drill, I don't mean they go and get, you know, a massive electric drill out the cupboard. It's a little tiny hand drill. Again, army painters sell them, and that could be our next item actually. Army painters sell them, and they're very, very small little drills, perfect for barrel drilling, so you can get a nice looking barrel on your weapon. Talking of the barrel, I'm just going to go around the edge here. I'm going to go over onto some of the blue, but I just wanted to make this a bit more silver because it had a bit of blue in there, and I'm not a fan of the blue on the silver, so I just wanted to get rid of that. I quite like it though with the red part on it. That looks pretty pimp. I quite like that. Get back that blue. Let's just tidy this edge. There we go. Lovely jubbly. Cool. Alright. That's that bit. Just in a little bit of silver that we've missed on the underside here. So we shall paint that. There we go. Yeah, so wet palettes are really handy. Another thing I love about wet palettes is that it helps. Oh, sorry, I've just moved the camera. Oh no, what's happened here? What I do like about it is that it keeps the shelf life of your paints open. So if you're painting and you're painting away, and I don't know, you have to go away for something. You can then come back to it, and your paints in your paint palette will generally stay okay for a couple of days. So it's a really good opportunity if you're painting a large area or something like that, and you don't want to have to mix the same colour again. If it's in your wet palette, it's going to be good for a couple of days, and you can come back to it later. So I've actually come back about 3 or 4 days later, and the paint is still good, providing in your wet palette that the sponge has enough moisture in it. As long as it does, you should be good. All I'm doing here is just, again, adding a little bit of detail. See the little buttons there? There you go, just as a little bit of detail on there. Nothing special, nothing flash. There we go. Let's have a little bit of blue. A little bit of blue on that bit. So you've just got little tiny things that sort of pop out, just to sort of catch the eye of whoever's looking at your model. Let's get our good old Agrat's Earthshade for that skull. And immediately it goes from looking a bit like a white blob to actually the item that you want it to look like. There we go. Alright, not bad. Not a bad little job there. Nice and quick, didn't take too long. Crikey, it's 8:20. Is it me or these streams seem to go really fast, really quickly, and I lose track of time, and all of a sudden I've got no time. They seem to go so fast. I should have done my muscle moment by now, and I should have also done my hobby horror. Sometimes I just sort of get into the painting, I start waffling, and I forget everything that's going on. So apologies, guys. Bring that back into camera. I've just picked up the front face plate of the Dreadnought, so I'm just adding a little bit of colour again to the front here. Again, it's on that principle of just having something to look at. Yeah, don't get me wrong, we've got this big sort of it's not the Aquila, it's the something, but you have this symbol on the front and you have that banner across the front as well. You've got these little guns as well, so you've got a couple of little guns that are showing, or rockets, but you need something else. You need little bits here and there just to stand out, otherwise it just gets really boring. There's a little light there, so we'll do one in orange and one in green, just because they're standout bright colours. There we go. Oh, bugger. Colours there, and I want to do this little bit of silver that I was going to do right on the bottom here, just across these three. I don't know whether they're like vents or something. There we go. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, it's just a little bit of something. I reckon that front is probably done. We don't want to do too much more. So you've got the inside done. That looks half decent. We can slide this back on now. There we go. Right, so you do get a nice little view of the sarcophagus inside, which is quite cool. We've got his gun arm. There we go. His gun arm is on, so that looks... Oh, sorry. There you go. Gun arm is on. Looks half decent. Over this side, we've got another gun on this arm. This is a flamer over this side. So how do we want to paint this? So first of all, there's a lot of silver that we need to get in here for to sort of depict its metal. So we'll get some silver across this. What else do we have in our toolbox of parts and bits and bobs that we require as model makers? Well, what about lighting? And I think that's a really good point. So I in here have this light that where the phone, the camera is currently rested on, pointing down on my model. I have this sort of bridge light that's just here. I've got a ring light that's in front of me to illuminate me, but it also helps with illuminating the area that where I'm painting. And I've got some spotlights above me, so I'm pretty well lit. And I don't mean that in the ghetto way. But that's really important because you're concentrating on such a tiny object for so long. So you're going to need all the light that you can get. And when you don't have it, you will soon notice it and you will be frustrated because you'll miss things, or you won't get this right or won't get that right, and you'll become frustrated with it. So good lighting is always needed. Always paint in a well-lit room. There's your first starter. And if you can get some kind of light, I mean, this one that the phone is stood on right now, it just clamps onto this is the first light I bought actually. It just clamps onto the table edge, and it's got a magnifying glass with a LED ring around it. It cost me about 10 or 15 quid from Amazon, right? Not expensive at all. And I bought that, and it does the job. And yes, I've got more light since, but you can get away with just this as your starter. So for 15 quid, that's not a bad starting point. Now, you may want to move on fairly quickly if you're really serious about painting, but you could get away with painting with one of these little ring magnifier type lights for a fairly long time. I think I used this for about 3 years, and I still use it today. But I used it for about 3 years with nothing else. So, you know, that shows you how good they are. I think it's only because I've got older and my eyesight's got worse that I've been like, no, I want more light. I need more light. Sorry, this is really difficult to get this big guy into the camera angle with this camera that we're using anyway. Right. Put that there. What else do we want on that? I think we need a little bit more silver on the inside here. I want another kind of brass kind of colour, but what have we got? That's a brass colour, a slightly darker brass colour, I think. This one's more gold, and this one seems more brassy coloured. Might try that. What we got up here? That's real bright gold. And that's sort of a copper. Got a coppery kind of colour. I might go with a coppery kind of colour actually. Let's see what that comes out like. So for the end of his flamer here, or the flamer guard, I'm just going to go with this sort of coppery colour. Because I quite like it. That's the only reason why. No other reason. And that should be the main reason really when you paint. Just do it because you like it, not because you know, this says so or that says so, or just paint what you like. Don't worry about it being box art fresh or anything else. Just do what you feel is best. No worries, Elias. Take it easy, mate. Enjoy your evening. Yeah, I don't think we're going to do a muscle moment tonight or a hobby horror because I've kind of forgot it and we kind of run out of time really. Oh no, I could do it actually. I might do it in a sec. There we go. There's that, there's that, there's that, there's that. Right, let's just pause there and do the muscle moment. Switch cameras. Whoop-bomp. Let's just bring that down so it's not in my face. And let's just show you guys what he's looking like so far. So there you go, he's looking pretty cool. Oh, wrong way. He's looking pretty cool. Does have that big old engine on the back that we need to do, but that's okay. Not getting there slowly. He's looking alright so far. Anyway, muscle moment. It wouldn't be the place where the brawn meets the brush if we didn't talk about fitness for 5 minutes or so. And today all I wanted to talk about was sort of diet, really. Diet for muscle gain. And we're going to focus on the 3 macronutrients, which is protein, carbs and fat. Now, we need all 3 of those to be able to sustain growth. Now, obviously, as everyone knows, protein helps growth. Look at me, how twisted I sit. Protein does help the most in terms of building muscle, but it's not the sole contributor. We do need the others as well. So protein, yes, is the building block for muscle. So it's going to help you and support your growth. So things like lean meats, fish, eggs, some dairy, some beans, they're all good protein. It's really important that you intake protein, especially after your workout. It's not vital, but it does help if after you've worked out, you're going to replenish the system, replenish the stores with some protein so you can grow. If you don't, you'll find that it's just slightly slower to do so. Now, it's good to spread protein out throughout the day. So have some for breakfast, have some for lunch, have some for dinner. Maybe have some snacks in between. Rather than having 5 chicken breasts at dinner and that's your protein intake. That's just going to be crazy and will probably block your guts a bit. So you've got protein in there. You've got carbohydrates. Now this is your energy source. This is going to give you energy to perform those tasks in the gym. So your things like complex carbs like your rices, your oats, your potatoes, things like that are really good, which is better versus things like your simple carbs, which is like sugary type fruits and sugars and all that sort of stuff. So try and go for complex carbs, rices, pastas, potatoes, all that sort of good stuff, because it helps fuel your training session so that you can actually see it through and you can perform properly. If you're going to go to the gym, you want to be able to perform and you want to do your best whilst you're there. So make sure you fueled right to give you the energy to get through that training session in the best possible way. So carbs also help move the protein into the muscles after workout as well. So that's another good reason to have carbs. So you can't just have proteins alone. And lastly, you've got the third part of the key, which is fats, which are essential for things like hormone health. It supports things like testosterone growth, or testosterone levels, should I say, not growth. So if you're a man, it's going to help support and maintain your levels, which is essential for growth. You can get it from things like nuts, oils, avocados, fatty fishes and things like that. You can get fats from. Excuse me. So don't cut fat out completely. You just need a small proportion of it for your overall diet. Now you could split your diet out into percentages, so maybe 60% protein, 40%, 30% carbs, 10% fats. It really does depend on what you're trying to achieve as how you split your macronutrients out. But you need to balance those out in proportion to what goal you're trying to achieve. As I said, you need to make sure that you hydrate as well. So without water, you can't do nothing. So you will die without water. So make sure you do take some on. So water, vitamins, minerals are all very essential and quite often overlooked. And then consistency over perfection. So what I mean by this is with your diet, when you're looking at those 3 micronutrients, don't worry if you have a day where perhaps you go and have a load of saturated fat from a pack of crisps or a pack of biscuits. Don't worry about that. If it's just one day out of your month, that's not going to ruin your diet and your aspirations to get to a certain level. If you're doing it every day for the whole year, you might have to think about it. But don't worry too much if you're not. So it's just stick to your plan, make sure that plan is achievable, and then just roll with it and just see how it takes, see where it takes you. And then just trim it and test it over time. So if things sort of plateau, or that you're not seeing, I don't know, the size that you want, it might be because you need to intake more food. Or if you're trying to diet, it might be that you need to take it back a bit. So just see it, adjust, test and adjust as you go. Alrighty. Right, back to our model. Let's go back to this one here. Let's move the camera back up into my face. So that's up here. And let's bring the model back in. So we're getting somewhere with this guy. He's slowly getting there. He has got this sort of like this central bit in here. I think I'm gonna paint this silver, you know. I think it was on the box art it was silver. So I'm gonna give it a little bit of box art love. Yeah. So what was you talking about before we broke for the muscle moment? We were talking about oh crikey, what were we talking about? We were talking about lighting. Yes, lighting and workspace. Really, really vital to make sure your workspace is well lit and you can see what you're doing. So without that, you're going to make a ton of errors on your model, and you'll take it out into the light and you'll go, oh crap, I've done this, I've done that. And then you'll be peed off because you'll have to go back to your table. Oh, sorry, I'm out of frame there. You have to go back to your table to then rework it, which is not always ideal. So make sure you work in a well-lit environment. You can see what you're god well done looking at. Let's have a look at this. What else have we got? I want to put something in this hat. Like, you see that little like hand thing? There's like a little hole in the middle. I don't know whether that should be like something like a red or something, like a glowing red or a glowing green maybe. Yeah, I might try that in a bit. Let's do that there. Also, we've got this little flamer. So we've got the top part to the flamer, which I'm gonna maybe put the end of that little nozzly bit in like a gold. There you go. Just as a bit of difference. And I might even paint that little circle there in gold as well. There we are. There we go. Okay, so that's that. Does that top part look okay like that? Or should that top part be another colour? That bit at the back I'm going to do black. So like the box area to it. It has got some buttons in there, so we can give it our standard Steve tip. Bright coloured buttons, that's what we love. There we are. So next on my list that I was going to talk about was glues and adhesives. I think I mentioned this before actually. There's two main types you want. One is plastic glue, one is super glue. Both have very distinct different uses. Never ever ever use super glue on your plastic models, and never use plastic glue on your resin or metal models. So, why? Well, let's go to the first example of plastic glue. Never use super glue on plastic models. It works, right? Super glue will glue your plastic model together. All right, I'm not doubting that. I'm not saying it won't. But what it will do is it will break. It becomes very, very brittle with plastic minis. So say this dreadnought, right, and you drop him, heaven forbid, you drop him and they will just break. So the little limbs will fall off or the arms will fall off, whereas plastic glue melts the plastics together and makes a far better join. So it actually makes your models more resilient to being dropped. Not that we want to drop our models, but it does happen, right? Let's be real, it does happen. It can happen to the best of us. Don't worry if it does happen to you. Let's just try to not have the position where they're going to fall apart. So let's use the right glue. Plastic glue for plastic models. Then when I said about using plastic glue, you can't use plastic glue on metal or resin. Now, it kind of works with resin, but it doesn't hold properly. And it takes a light year to seal as well, because the plastic glue is trying to melt it and it can't. So essentially you get a really poor join. So they have very specific uses. I know it sounds really silly, but you know, it can be not confusing, but tempting, I guess, to use the other glue in the other position. But trust me, for best effects, use the right glue in the right circumstance. That is all I have to say on glues, but that's all you need really. Now, plastic glues, you do need something that's model hobby orientated based, so something like a Citadel plastic glue or a, what's this one? This one is Humbrol. As long as it's from the modelling community, it will work perfect. So you do need to make sure that you stick to modelling community glues when you're looking at plastic glues. However, for super glue, you can buy whatever darn super glue you like. So if you have a preferred brand, go for that. Or if you're like me and you just want to buy the cheapest super glue you can, just buy the cheapest super glue you can. With super glues, it doesn't actually matter. There are, of course, better super glues than others. I'm not going to deny that. But, you know, when it comes to cost, you know, you want to try to keep your costs down. That's what it's about. It's not about spending the earth to do something that you have a passion for. It's about being conservative with your cash. If you save a few quid on a few glues, it might mean you can buy another model. Huzzah! And that's ultimately what we want, right? So, yes. So, my advice would be, if you're unsure and you're painting Warhammer and D&D models, then I would just use the glue from the Citadel from Games Workshop themselves. If you're a little bit more experienced, you'll be able to go to other places like, I don't know, an RC car shop or something, and they will have a polycement plastic glue as well. But if you're not sure, just go with the good old Games Workshop one. It is slightly more expensive, but you know, it won't fail you at the same time. Super glues, buy from anywhere. So my advice is somewhere like, I don't know, the pound shop. If you have a pound shop or the dollar store, something like that. And you get, when you go into those places, you can get, you know, 5 small super glues for, you know, like $1 or £1. I think they're the better places to go, to be honest, because super glue can be real bloody pricey. And you don't have to pay like $10 for, or £10 for a blooming pot of super glue. Who wants to pay that? Not me, that's for sure. So don't get robbed. Don't feel that you have to be robbed either. Make sure you buy conservatively. Yes, that's what I had to say with glues, really. You can buy... There's one thing you could do, actually, an extra glue I haven't mentioned, is something like a Yoo-hoo glue. So Yoo-hoo make like that sort of really sticky glue. It's not really good for models, as in building and making the models themselves, but what it is good for is scenery making. So for making, like, I don't know, alien stringy gloop coming from a tyrannid's mouth because it's drooling over the site of killing space marines, right? You can use Yoo-hoo glue to string between like the jaws of the model and its claws or something, and it works really well. And then you can either paint that stringy bit or you can just leave it as a sort of clear saliva, but it looks really freaking cool. So that is one glue I would advise you have in your arsenal. You won't use it all the time, but it's really good for when you do want it. And the other glue I'd say is PVA glue. Now, PVA glue is all about the basing. So for applying things to your base, that's where you want a big tub of PVA glue to be able to stick sand and grass and flock and things like that onto your model base. So yes, again, don't need to be super precious on the brand for your PVA glue. It can be literally, again, dollar store, pound shop type bought thing. That's all I did. I bought a big pot of it, and I've still got the same pot that I bought 3 years ago, I think, because it lasts forever and you don't need loads of it. So yeah, there's your 4 glues that you need. Alright, we're starting to get some colour on the back now, which is good. Because this is really like the last area to do, to be honest. Because again, this guy doesn't need to be perfect. He just needs to be half decent. Just needs to be able to stand on the battlefield and not look like a complete walking pile of poop. And unfortunately, when I bought him, he did look like a walking pile of poop. I think I only paid about no more than £15, so no more about, what was that, $19 or something? I don't know. So I did get him really cheap, but he was really worse for wear looking. So he's having a new lease of life painted into him, which is good. So rather than the model getting trashed and thrown, he's being restored to his former glory. And he'll be able to walk amongst his battle brothers with pride. There we go. What else we got here? So we've got a few other bits in this centre section here on his back that will need to be silver. So we'll paint all these up as well. Again, if I put the model out of the right camera angle, I apologise. It's purely because of this having to use my mobile phone this evening, because our main video capture card has gone kaput, so I can't use my normal camera setup, which is very frustrating. However, I hope this camera is sufficing and it's doing an okay job. It's just my iPhone that I've got, and it's not a new iPhone either, so it's probably really hanging in there to capture video and stream it at the same time. Go. Getting there slowly. Oh, dropping him. He's quite a big fella to paint as well, so if you are painting a dreadnought, just take your time. They are slightly awkward. There we go. So I'm going fairly quickly here, just because I know that these pipes, I'm actually going to change the colours of these shortly. I'll add them and make them a bit more brighter, rather than it all looking like silver on his back. Let's try and go for some different colours, right? No, some will stay silver, but I'm going to try and mix it up a bit. There we go. These lines on his back up here, I'm probably going to do gold, like that Retributor gold, because it's nice and standout. There we go, just like that. Again, just something to stick out. I'll do this little cog in the centre as well. That will be gold. Oh, that's going to have its top edges done as well. Again, apologies if I'm not quite getting the camera angle right here. Well, it's a little bit fiddly on this camera setup, you see. So I'm having to look underneath the magnifying glass to see the item to paint it. Rather random. Yes, we talked about glues. What about basing materials? So we said, you know, one of our glues is PVA, and we use that for our bases. So what about other basing materials? So things you want to have. You want to have like for bases, you want to have like a wide variety of available items. Unless you're painting an army and they're all to look the same, you might actually want the army all to look different. But sometimes, I don't know why, I get a bit of a fixation on my army all having the same style base, and I don't mean exactly the same layout, but the same style. So if they've got a patch of grass and a rock, they will all have rocks and patches of grass. Now, you don't have to follow that, but that's just how I do it. But what you do want is, in your repertoire of items, you should make sure that you have plenty of various different things. Excuse me. So that could be things like sand, and that could be from anywhere, by the way, from the beach, from, you know, the local play pit or whatever. Builder's sand. Builder's sand is quite cool because it's got little rocks in it, and then that looks quite different to normal textured sand. Small pebbles, things like that from around your garden or around your street. Get some small pebbles in there. That looks smart. Tufts of grass. Not real grass because it will go skank, but you would want to look at getting things like the actual modelling grass. So look at things like Army Painter and, again, Citadel. Let's use these two as an example. They do their own grass effects. Damn it, I just wiped that paint off. They do their own grass effects that you can buy in small little tubs, and they're super cool. really cheap, really easy and convenient. They're only a couple of pound for a small plastic tub, and it gives you enough to paint, you know, bloody hundreds of models and put the grass onto those bases of those models. Very inexpensive and a wide variety of types as well. All I've done there, by the way, is just painted those on the back, just again to draw the eye to make it look cool. We want some. We were doing pipes in here, weren't we? That's what we were going to do. Pipes in there. So yeah, it could be anything really. You can even use cork is a good one that people use. So you could just get yourself an old cork message board or something, and you could cut that up and break that up into little pieces, and then maybe like just drop a piece of cork onto your model's base and glue it in place, just as a bit of scenery, as a bit of rock. Looks really smart. It's really easy to do. What else could you have for your base materials? You could use your plastic sprues. So the plastic sprues that the models come on, why not keep a load of those, cut them into shapes and use the plastic sprues to be able to build out things onto your model base. Absolutely perfect. So that's a real good cheap way to recycle your model sprues and to have a good little looking base. So give that a try. What else could you use? Let's have a think. You could use something like resin. Resin has become really popular recently in model making. I might actually put some resin on the base of this guy because it's a really big base. So resin is a liquid that you can buy, and as soon as you put it on, it goes all runny, and you have to cure it under a UV light for it to go hard. Now, once it's hard, it then looks like actual water on the base. It's really cool. So those of you that were around for the D&D diorama I made, you will remember that we used resin for the puddles on that, and that looks really cool. It looks super cool, super effective, and the only thing I would say though is it's not cheap. So resin isn't super cheap, and you do need a little UV light even to cure it. Even if it's a little UV torch, you still need something, because otherwise it won't cure and it won't look right, and it will just be runny. So you do need that, but it's super cool. Let's bring an orange in. So you can see on the back there we've got some reds and we've got some yellows. Sorry, I'm shaking my other paint as we speak. I'm going to put in some orange into here as well. Let's go for this one up here. That one orange. Let's go this double one is orange as well. So yeah, so resin is really cool, and you can have a wide variety. You can make it like muddy water, you can make it look volcanic. There's loads of different options. It is a bit pricey, so all the other things I was talking about are free. Apart from the Army Painter or GW Tufts of Grass and things like that, all the rest of it's all free. So why not have a little dabble and see what you can find in your garden to base out your models. But resin is cool. It does give it a different look. It does give it a different feel. So it is worth trying at some point if you can and have the opportunity to do so. I would advise you give it a bash because it is quite cool and just brings a different effect to your model. There we go. What about that for the back? Not too bad, right? Not too bad in a short period of time. Oh, you love me? Hello, Pell. How you doing, mate? Hope you're good. Alright, let's just get some Nuln Oil across here just to make these exhaust stacks look half sort of coked up with charcoal. There we go. And on this you don't have to be light with it. If you're sort of going for this sort of grimy look, you can be quite sort of liberal when you're applying Nuln Oil to things. Just depends what you're trying to achieve with it. In this instance, where we want to fill those little black holes on the exhaust vents, then just stick a load in there. There we go. Right, that's that part done. Oh, that's what we was going to do, wasn't it? We was going to do the hand over there. Let's see if we can do that. We've got a couple of minutes overrunning, but it'll be fine. Now, do we want that hand to be green or do we want it to be red? What do we think? Probably red. It's probably the right colour. Right. Not sure about this actually, now I've done it. I'm not quite sure. No, it looks crap. Okay, we can always change this at a later point, but it doesn't look right. I'm just gonna cover the silver with the red and see what it looks like once it dries, but I don't think it looks right. Looks a bit naff to me. Let's take the excess off. So remember, you can with these contrasts just go back with a dry brush and wick away some of the excess, just to take some of that back. We'll see what that looks like when that dries. However, I'm not convinced that looks right. Okay, well, let's pause it there. Let's switch over to the front view. Jammins Daily, howdy howdy. Hope you're doing well, mate. So you're just sort of hitting us up right at the end of the show. But here he is right now. So this is what he looks like. So he's not looking bad. He is painted underneath the front. We can take the front off. There we go. So he is painted underneath the front. There we go. He does have his front that goes on as well. And he's painted on the back too. So he's almost finished. There's things like transfers and things like that to do. But he's pretty much finished, and he could go on the table and you could be half proud of him stood there on the table. He looks pretty decent, you know. Even on the back, I quite like how them little pipes have turned out on the back. They look pretty cool. So yeah, so next week we will probably attach some of the transfers to him, do some more to his base, and get him looking awesome. Let's move that out of the way and miss out of my face. And hopefully next week I'll have fixed the camera and we'll be back to normal, because this week again has been absolute nightmare with my setup. So apologies for that, guys. However, that does come to the end of the show. We didn't do our hobby horror, but forgot again. But never mind. Hopefully you have all enjoyed the show. Fingers crossed. If you have liked it, like the video when it comes out. It's published onto YouTube after the live goes off. It'll be published straight away, so make sure you like it, comment on it, Share it with your friends. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you turn on notifications so you never miss any lives or anything that we do. We do have an Instagram page. Not that I post a lot on Instagram, but I should do. But I do have an Instagram page if you want to look at that. And if you haven't joined the Discord, join the Discord where you can chat, post pictures of your own models into the Discord. Jamin's Daily saying I'm at work during the stream. Oh, never mind, mate. At least you're really working hard to stay in. It's 3:06 here. Oh, man. Okay. Yeah, it makes sense. So you are on what? West Coast, I take it, Jamins? Yeah, West Coast if you're 3:06, I think. Yeah. No, you might be Central, actually. You might be Central. Yeah, I don't think you're West Coast now, actually, because West Coast has got 9 hours difference or something. Thank God it's Friday, though. Yes. Thank God it's Friday, indeed. Yeah, Central Time. Yeah, I thought so. So, enjoy your weekend, whatever you are doing. For absolutely everyone that's jumped in here, chatted in, dropped a comment in the chat, thank you very much. Love to you all. Make sure you geek it up this weekend. Make sure you get to the gym. And make sure you have an absolutely awesome weekend. Yeah, 3 p.m. in Texas. Oh, Jamins, I was looking at more Texas houses the other day. Oh, man, you guys get some cheap houses, and they're so good. I was looking at some houses around Houston area. Oh, in fact, I looked at McKinney again as well. That came up. But yeah, Houston, there's got some great houses around there. Yeah, very jealous of you. But yeah, make sure you share the video with all your friends. Make sure you like it, comment, do all the usual good stuff. Enjoy your weekend, geek it up, and have a wonderful time. All right, I will see you all next week at 7 p.m. BST here on YouTube for the next Minis and Muscles live. Stay safe. Thank you very much. Mucho love to you all, and come back to the place where the brawn meets the brush next week. Stay safe, all. Take it easy.
Minis-N-Muscles with heroes rise. The tiny world's still modern skies. Rushing ahead with power we fight. Strength that breaks you, light in the night. Where the brawn meets the brush. The story told in this love imagination mode. With every stroke, adventures unfold. Minis-N-Muscles, heart and soul. To explore, roll the future, hear the dice roar, gaining realms of muscles drawn, together in this place where we belong. Doting spells, casting dreams until the dawn, leveling up and the world to follow. With painted heroes shining bright, venturing